everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today I'm bringing you a Kickstarter preview of a game that is currently on Kickstarter right now. So if you like what you see in this video, go to the description below and click on the link for the Kickstarter campaign and look at it in more detail. This right here is a potato sack, and it comes with the game, at least with the prototype that I have, because this is Potato Pirates. And this is a cool little component. I really thought this was pretty neat. And the whole point of this is just for storage, really, because you'll see when we get down to the board that there are actually these little kind of puff balls, but look like little round potatoes that are the members of your crew. So you're not pirates who steal potatoes, you are potato pirates. And in the game, it really is, even though you're these pirates, what this game is really about is kind of teaching the basics of programming. And unlike a game like Mechs vs. Minions, which is a really fun game that I've got, where you're programming your mechs and you're placing cards in a line and then running the program. While that is technically programming, this right here actually uses terminology from real life programming. At least I assume so. I'm not a programmer. I don't know a whole lot about that, except for, I took one or two classes in high school or college where they kind of touched on some of the terminology, some of the, real basic class. And that's kind of what this feels like. And so the idea here is that it actually can be a little bit educational and also easy enough for children to play. So it kind of gets some of those early programming ideas, I guess, into children's minds. So maybe kind of just lays a little bit of foundation. At least that's what the developers and designers of the game are hoping. And I think that very well could be true. You know what? But without me talking too much more, let's get down to the table. I think you might hear me say running code a couple times in the video instead of running a program. I don't know if that's technically accurate, but you know what I mean. So, and of course, everything you see here is prototype components. All these components are prototypes. So anything you see is subject to change. I believe the artwork is pretty well final. I don't know for sure, but it seems like it is. It's pretty nice. I like what they've got going on already. Some of the terrified looks on some of these potatoes' faces when they're about to get mashed or fried or whatever is pretty funny. So anyway, let's get to the table and I'll show you a little bit more about Potato Pirates. So at the beginning of the game, each player will start with 2 ships, which will be on the anchor side. The other side here is the battle side, but you'll start on the anchor side, and each ship is going to have 10 potatoes. The big one counts as 5, and then each of these small ones counts as 1 each, so 10 potatoes total for each ship, which of course the potatoes are your crew because you are potato pirates. So you also get 5 cards, and these cards are going to be how you run or how you create the programming that you're going to then run. And now we've got 3 basic types of cards. So let me show you kind of what each of these basic types of cards do. So these cards, the kind of greenish cards we've got here, are your action cards, and they are your basic attack cards. You can see if you use roast, it's going to do 1 damage. Mash is going to do 2 damage, and fry 3 damage. Now these orange style cards are your control cards, and you can see there's 5 different kinds, but within these 5 different kinds, like for instance here, this if less than 6 potatoes else, there's actually going to be multiple numbers. There's if less than 5, if less than 4, and so on. And each of these, or at least for these 3 right here, they have those style of variations with different numbers and stuff. And so the way this works is that you would say if less than 6 potatoes, attack ships with 5 or less potatoes, basically. So what it would be is that you might have this card. You might have the fry card down here on this side of this. So what you're saying is that if there's less than 6 potatoes, you're going to fry 3 of the potatoes on that ship. And this card actually lets you attack all ships with 5 or less potatoes. And then right now, if ships had more than 5, 6 or greater, nothing happens unless, of course, you then had another card on this side. And then you would mash 2 potatoes on ships with 6 or greater. You would kill 2 of those potatoes. And the key here is that you can only have three cards total. So you have to kind of be careful how you build this card out. It might be worth building more on this side and just leaving alone over here based on what's going on in the game. So then we've got the while greater than 5. Target ship has more than 5 potatoes, basically. So you could put this one here. So if a ship has more than 5 potatoes, then you would fry 3 of them. And then again, this one right here is for 2 times. So you're actually going to repeat it. So if you had fry on this one, you would actually end up frying 6 potatoes at your target ship. Keep in mind, this is the only card right here, the if else. This is the only one that lets you attack potentially all ships on the board. All the rest of these, you're going to have a specific target. Then with 4x times x equals the number of cards in the enemy's hand. So this one is specific, is different based on what's going on with your enemy. But again, you would then throw down this right here. And so if your enemy had 4 cards in their hand, you could potentially kill 12 potatoes on their ship. And this one right here for y times y equals the number of ships that you have. So, if you have the 2 starting ships and that's all you've got, then you'll do 6 points of damage to your target. Now here we've got surprise cards, and these cards can be played any time, even when it's not your turn. So this is definitely a good way to throw a kink into your opponent's plans and their programming and everything like that. So with the hijack card, you can actually steal an enemy ship and the cards on it. Now, the potatoes that are on it, they would rather die than serve a different captain. So they'll actually walk the plank and they will not join you. However, you take the ship, you take any programming that's already been placed on the ship, and that is yours now. Then with a switch card, your prize, as you can see, is decided by how many ships you own. One ship, you're going to get a new ship and a potato to man that ship, because every ship must have 1 potato, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then you've got 2, if you have 2 ships, then you pick a card from the discard pile. And if you have 3 ships, then you get to draw 3 cards. Otherwise, if you have more than 3 ships, you get nothing. And if you had 0 ships but had not quite been eliminated yet, for reasons we'll talk about in a little bit, then you also would get nothing. With loot, you can steal 2 cards from an enemy's hand, and with the deny, this actually blocks all attacks and surprises. So basically, if you could use the deny to block an attack, but then somebody else could use the deny to deny your deny, and so on and so forth, and keep going like that. You can use deny to block pretty much anything going on in the game involving surprises and attacks. Now there is a 4th type of card. Even though I said 3 types earlier, that's because this card doesn't actually have anything to do with your programming. It doesn't have anything to do with, attacking or anything like that. This card is actually the point of the entire game. You are trying to collect all 7 Potato Kings. Each one has different artwork, but they all have the exact same point. You can see here's another one that has some different artwork. And let's see if I can find one more for you. Here's one more. So they all have something a little different going on as far as artwork, but they all are essentially the same thing. And the last pirate to salute pays you 2 potatoes. So what has to happen whenever you draw a Potato King or acquire a Potato King through any means, you immediately play it on the board. Once you play it, then all the other players need to shout Potato King and then salute you. The last one to salute is going to lose 2 potatoes, just like the card says. If any player has all 7 Potato Kings, they win the game. There's one other way to win the game, which we'll talk about momentarily, but this is really probably the main drive that most people are going to be going for, is collecting these Potato Kings. Now remember this loot card right here? It says steal 2 cards from an enemy's hand. That includes revealed Potato Kings. So even though the Potato Kings are not technically in the player's hand, they're just revealed out on the board, they can still be stolen. That's one way you can help prevent a player from winning the game. So the other way that a player can win the game is if they are the last player standing. And the way players get eliminated from the game is losing all their ships. And the way players lose all their ships is if, for instance, here, he's got 3 potatoes left on his ship. If another player ran an attack against him, fry 3 potatoes, these potatoes are gone. As soon as the ship has no potatoes, it immediately sinks, just like in real life. And once a player is the only one left not eliminated, that player wins. The first thing you'll do at the start of your turn is draw 2 cards from the stack of potato pirate cards that are in the middle of the deck. That's where all of the potato kings come from. That's where all of the programming cards come from. That's where all of the surprise cards come from. Then you'll have some cards in your hand, and you can just play cards from your hand down onto the ships, but keep in mind that each ship can have up to 3 actions, no more on here. So maybe with this one ship, I'll play for Y times mash 2 potatoes, and then over here I'll just play fry 3 potatoes. And then that is my turn, because if you are going to be building your coding on the ships, then that's the only thing you can do on that turn. But maybe you've already got some coding on the ships like this and you want to continue building on it. Then maybe you would, over here you would add this right here, this while greater than 5. And so then that would increase what you've got going on there. It would refine it, make it where you could, specifically target someone even more. Either way, if you add coding to a ship, then that's the only thing you're doing. However, maybe you're happy with what you've got. Maybe this is exactly what you want and you haven't done anything with this ship this turn. And so instead what you can do is flip this over and go into battle mode. And what that means is that now you're going to run this code against your target. Again, if you run battle mode, then you can't have added anything to this turn. So this would be a separate turn that you'd be doing this. But then you would run this for Y times, so the number of ships that you have. So you'd hit this one twice against another ship, dealing 4 points of damage. And then you would discard all this into the discard pile. And that would be everything that ship did. Meanwhile, over here, maybe you would again add something else to the code. Also on your turn, you can rearrange the potatoes amongst your ships however you see fit, which can help you avoid certain attacks from certain cards that other players may be playing. The exception to that is if the ship's in battle mode, you can't rearrange potatoes at that point for that ship. You also can buy additional ships for 4 potatoes, but remember, you gotta have at least 1 potato on your ship, so you need to be able to still have 1 to go there. Otherwise, if you spent 4 potatoes and then bought a ship, it would immediately sink because no potatoes on the ship, and as we all know, ships without potatoes sink. Keep in mind, of course, this ship would actually be anchored if you were going to be rearranging potatoes from it to this one. Also, in really desperate times, if you may have a situation where it's beneficial to abandon a ship and move potatoes over to a different ship in order to maybe, again, protect yourself from certain card combinations. And there are really quite a number of ways you can combine cards. This is just another example that, while a ship, if your target has more than 5 potatoes, then twice you will mash 2 potatoes. And you can see that you got a lot of different ways you can combine them. And the cool thing about it is that it uses actual programming terms, I assume, since I don't know a whole lot about programming. But I remember from my, some early programming class I had in high school or something, a lot of these terms remind me of that. So, and you've got this and you got the branching ability. And of course, you're only going to have up to 3 cards on the ship at a time, which also helps to keep things relatively simple. And maybe you do it like that, or maybe you actually go this route like that, and just a lot of different ways you can do it, a lot of cool combinations. And yeah, so I'll see you back up top. Okay, so that was not a fully detailed rules explanation, but that is generally how you play. This game runs for 3 to 6 players. and they say ages 6 and up. So I think that is possible. I think if you do 6 and up, obviously a 6-year-old probably is not going to be able to grasp some of the more tricky, card combinations. However, perhaps after playing for a while, they would start working into that. I do think that age could certainly work with a lot of what's here, because some of it is very, very clear cut and easy. You play this card, that's 3 damage. But, I think when you start stacking some of the, what would they call it? Operation cards, I believe. The orange cards, the control cards. Once you start stacking some of those, the interactions may get a little bit above a 6-year-old's head. But I do think that for the most part, most people who pick up this game will be able to grasp what's going on with it. And even if you can't get the more intricate interactions there's enough that you can understand that it will still be a lot of fun, I think. So this is a Kickstarter that a lot of people are already very excited about. It's already funded, I believe, like 4 times what it needed to be able to get the funding and be produced. So that's exciting that it is already on the way, or it's already funded anyway, and it will be on the way. It currently has around 20 days left, I believe, at the time of this recording. So if you think this is something that's cool, you think it might be useful or fun for you, or hopefully both, because like I said, I do believe that there is some educational value here while also being a fun game, then go over to the Potato Pirates Kickstarter. Like I said, I have the link in the description below, and check it out over there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And until next time, more online, more offline.